I'm Meryl Key, and this is what is happening and why astrology for September 2023. If you want info on your individual sign, check out my AstroDice readings put up each month. And if you'd like to help my channel, put in a like or a subscribe or hit the notification button so you can always get the updates. Here's all the planetary action for September. Fresh out of the Pisces full moon, September is a month for getting adaptable without losing connection to the big picture. We're in retrograde season and the planets behave oddly and linear time is less reliable. It's full of ripples. The retrogrades can bring the past into the now, change your outlook and generally slow down the current whenever you want to push against it. Things can get lost, resurface or just go cold. Venus here at 12 degrees Leo has been retrograde since July, but on the 4th of September, she turns station direct to make her way back from the underworld and is visible as the morning star, reborn and radiant. The next day, on the 5th of September, Jupiter, 15 degrees in Taurus, goes station retrograde. And these two are nearly square. Not quite, but they're in the zone. And that means they're acting hot and cold and in a strange standoff, hovering in limbo. This is a ripple resonance that goes back a few weeks to August 24 and 5, when these two squared off. Now she is turning forward while Jupiter turns back. On the 17th, they reactivate that square from a whole new perspective. So what does this mean? A situation has reversed, or you're looking at it through a mirror. Go back to that third week of August, and maybe you got swept up in something. Maybe you bit off more than you could chew. Money, love tangles, indulgence, passion, all these things are getting a rethink. You're wanting to start fresh, but the timing is off or the air is out of the sails. Jupiter is a really big energy, and when it goes retrograde, it's like hold your horses, especially when it's in earthbound Taurus. Expansion, deflation, inflation, caution. This aspect is testing out what you want, what you don't want, and what you need. And it's asking you to make change to live up to it. Is the dream matching up? Have you been hiding behind a mask? Whatever you come up with, put your faith into your true self rather than a bunch of unrealistic expectations. This aspect ripples out to the new moon on the 15th and reveals more on the 17th when it revisits this square. Here's a few Venus-y retrograde things that happened while Venus was retrograde. Number 1, on July 25, Twitter changed its name to X. More people left. In Iran, morality police returned to the streets, enforcing Islamic restrictions on women. On August the 14th, the Venus Kazemi, Donald Trump, his cronies and his lawyers were indicted for multiple criminal charges of racketeering and conspiracy to steal the election. And the FIFA World Cup for women's football, a couple of years ago, this would have been impossible. But this Venus retrograde, it's mania. The impact on women's sport is paradigm shifting. And as has been quoted, it just might be the most openly queer sporting event in history. Back to September. So let's move mid-month to that new moon. On September 15th, the moon has moved up to join the sun, and it's a new moon at 22 degrees Virgo. And it's okay, there's nothing really nasty with this one. Virgo moons help organise your thoughts and feelings into bite-sized pieces so you can see a pattern and digest it slowly. But it won't be digesting so slowly with this one. Uranus, the planet of sudden change, revolution, and glitches in the matrix, is retrograde at 22 Taurus, and it's trine the sun and moon. It's being helpful with its glitches and opening up a random opportunity for you to get the insight or the witness or the detail you need to support your position, even if it feels like you're acting out of character or you're channeling a higher power. Earth yourself and flow with it. There's a really nice grand trine with this new moon that helps with that flow. And it's between Saturn, 2 degrees Pisces, Ceres at 29 Libra, here with the South Node, and Vesta at 0 degrees Cancer. This has a really nice harmony, and it feels like a negotiation or clearer boundaries are getting maintained. There's a return to some kind of level of normality, and that's likely to involve family members, caregivers, support from authorities, and even dedication to your own self-care and well-being. And this trine is active for the rest of September. Same time, Pallas is over here in Libra, and it's squaring Vesta. So there's an emphasis on using your head and not your heart on this one. Vesta can be manipulated into giving more than what is just or fair or equal. But mid-month, you need to be more steadfast about agreements made and where it concerns doing the right thing and acting with decency. This is important because the next day on the 16th, Mercury, having been retrograde for the last 3 weeks, turns station direct, and it's also in Virgo, assimilating and grinding up conversations, contracts, ideas, thought patterns, and memories all into new shapes. As Mercury slows down and moves forward, you'll be in a better position to follow this new and improved version of yourself, reborn and radiant. Because then on the 17th, Venus and Jupiter catch up with that square. But this time, Venus is joined with Juno, the queen of the heavens, and incidentally, Jupiter's wife. These two are going to be travelling together until mid-October, and this puts the focus on partnerships, commitments, promises, and marriage. What is equal, what is fair, and in some cases, where your partner just doesn't get it. So you have to remember that you're the one that wears the crown as queen. You are sovereign, reborn and radiant, regardless of their opinion. This is part of a pattern that's been cooking for a few months and it's still not done. The equinox falls on September 23 when the sun moves into Libra. This is a time of balance, harmony and equality between night and day, masculine and feminine. In the southern hemisphere, it's time to spring clean and make a fresh start. In the northern hemisphere, the leaves are dropping from the trees as they pull their energy inwards and down to their roots in preparation for winter. We're at a tipping point, and there's a mood to tie up loose ends and reconcile before we let go. A few days later, on the 29th, the moon has moved to Aries, opposite the sun in Libra. Aries full moon, 6 degrees, and it might be bringing a bit of a showdown, or at least a get real moment. Pallas is now conjunct the sun, raising those issues of boundaries, respect, and intelligent decisions. You need to be strategic, but the temptation will be to launch your more irrational nature. This is about relationships, with some of the undercurrents coming from an unconscious need for independence or a wound of rejection. Pallas is there to help you keep a cool head. Remember back to the new moon, when you had to choose your head over your heart? Well, the real test is here, because Venus is retracing her steps and now joined by Queen Juno in Leo, this time squaring off with Uranus. Again. Yep. Venus square Uranus sends a shockwave through the heart. It disrupts relationships, it blows your budget, it makes the vibe fickle, indifferent, or disconnected. This time warp ripples back to the beginning of July, and even to the Leo full moon in February. It was pricked back into action the second week of August, and now it's in its final pass. And you should be more equipped, less surprised, and basically had some sort of transformation in the outcome of this sequence. The support Juno is giving here can help cut through to reality and express yourself with dignity and truth. Unless you start going down that giving into your irrational nature route, in which case Juno and Venus can really degrade their power by seeking revenge and having grubby affairs. It's not pretty, and it won't stop the pattern. This push-pull motion echoes the same thing that Venus did with Jupiter at the new moon. And now that these aspects are starting to pull apart and separate, you can feel this sequence drawing to a close. The whole month has a distorted déjà vu feel, and yet you're creating something that's closer to the truth as you pass through it. While you're getting stuck down into all these clusters of details and hovering limbo, there's a big picture scenario happening, and that's Pluto. Square the nodes. Pluto is the god of endings and regeneration. It's birth, life, and death. And squaring the nodes, it's calling you to close and shut down and walk away from some limiting behavior or a family pattern and start taking personal responsibility. This aspect peaked in July and August, but the transit is still active until October, like most of the things going on this month. And with all these retrogrades, it's time to declutter all aspects of your life that hold you back. This nodal axis is an axis of destiny, where you've come from, what you're familiar with, and where you want to take it. And with Pluto mid-center, it really puts the brakes on something if you're not travelling on the path you need to be travelling. The North Node is in Aries, which is about independence and pioneering and having courage. And the South Node is in Libra, your relationships, finding balance, being fair. It means you have to put a lot of faith and trust in what's going on in these conflicts, because the overview is pointing you back onto your path of destiny. This is a big aspect, and its timing with Venus retrograde is significant. Now Venus has emerged from the ordeal of her underworld journey, and she opens as the morning star, reborn with new substance and depth to her outlook, her passion and her self-belief. Radiant, heart and head in balance. I'm Meryl Key, and this is my mystery school. You can find me on Instagram at my_mystery school or on my website www.merylkey.com. Thanks for watching.